Right. And we had a woman call in the other day, a bartender, that, downtown Chicago, that, she's 60 and she's like, is it too late for me? No, it's not too late to do planning. It never is. It's like it's never too late to get back into shape.
How do we finish strong and start fresh on the right foot for planning and preparing for the year and the years ahead financially? We will talk about it today with Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns, CFP, here on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement, as well, Tim, as 5 of the biggest changes to retirement that took place in 2024 that will affect planning and saving and investing into 2025 and beyond. The 5 biggest factors that will impact retirement. But Tim, always a pleasure to see you here as we are about to turn the calendar page into a fresh new year. I always have had a problem with the phrase, it is what it is. I felt like that was kind of relegating overly complacent. We have to start where we are. We are where we are, but there's always room for improvement. And I think a lot of people think about that this time of year.
Well, yeah, Peter. I mean, you look at what you did throughout the year, and everyone Monday morning quarterbacks themselves, right? No matter what you're doing, daily, weekly, monthly, it doesn't matter. But that's one of the reasons that I kind of wanted to talk today about, what has changed the landscape of retirement. Some of the things that I saw that are kind of crazy is the prevalence of outstanding credit card debt.
Mm.
It's gone up to 68% of retirees report that they have outstanding credit card debt. That's compared to 40% in 2022.
Probably even more after the holidays, right, Tim?
Exactly. That's kind of scary. And then more retirees said that they're spending much higher than they had planned on or that they could afford. And then lastly, this was kind of interesting to me. 59% of retirees said they have 3 months of emergency savings. That's down from 69%. But here's where I thought this was interesting. One out of three of them have had experienced an unexpected spending need that they were not planning for.
Mhm.
So these are the types of things that, when we're seeing the landscape of retirement changing, those are things that we need to talk to people about. And we're trying to do that, on the daily here.
Things that we have to plan proactively for, ladies and gentlemen, because we only get one shot at that ideal retirement. You want to
Yep.
do it right the first time. Smart people learn from their own mistakes, but we don't have that time or luxury. So while we are in the mindset of making improvements for the year and the years ahead, let's talk about what's different in planning, some of the stats and statistics that we need to keep in mind, some of the things that we do want to do, some of the things that we want to avoid, and most importantly, let's put together a written plan. The Protect and Grow Blueprint for Retirement is the written plan that Tim Stearns, CFP, and the team from TJ Stearns Inc. will put together for proactive planners and savers throughout and across the Chicagoland area. If you would like to take advantage, no cost, no obligation, to get your written Protect and Grow Blueprint, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256, or go to tjstearns.com to get the conversation started there. tjstearns.com, and that's Stearns, EARNS, like earns, tjstearns.com, or again, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, the financial world changes, our life changes and evolves over time, things around us change. So we are constantly going to be in the need of reviewing and assessing and evaluating progress and where we are and the track that we're taking, and have there been any detours. But we wanted to highlight 5 of the biggest changes in 2024 that will affect planning and saving and retirement into the years ahead. So what have you seen are maybe some of the biggest things that retirees or those planning to retire may need to understand or reconsider in the plans that they have laid previously or up to this point?
Well, one of the things that we're seeing is that Medicare premiums once again have outpaced the cost of living adjustment that people got with Social Security, which is kind of unsettling. If you remember about 2 years ago, there was a nice increase in Social Security payments, and yet Medicare ate that up. Well, again, here we're seeing it being outpaced. Social Security moved up 2.5%, and obviously Medicare moved up higher than that. So one of the things that we're talking to people about is that, with President Trump coming back into office, he has talked about, that he's not going to mess with Medicare. He's not going to mess with Social Security. So this is something that we might have to get used to is that, the premiums for Medicare are going to outpace Social Security yet again.
We sort of see that train coming straight at us, though, Tim. This is not new news that Social Security and Medicare are in trouble with funding. So if we continue this approach of politicians, regardless of the side, being unwilling to talk about making any changes to the systems, are we just continuing to head on into that train?
Unfortunately, I think that's the pace that we're going to be at because obviously you have uh, a president that's not going to mess with it, which is good and bad, right? I mean, things need to be fixed. The more time that we don't address Social Security, the worse it's going to get and the less options that we have. So I don't know how else you're going to see that. And I think a lot of people think, well, you know what? I'm not too worried about my bills because, Social Security will keep pace with that. That's not going to be the case, especially if Medicare is eating up what you just made. So that's one of the big things that we're talking to people about. And that's why when we do a dynamic plan for people, we plan for instances like this.
And Tim, not just the plan, not just put in place, but I think that this is one that we're going to continue
Yeah,
to need to pay attention to. And like
agreed.
many, many other factors, continue to change and evolve as the news kind of changes and evolves over time.
Right. And that is something that, like Social Security was supposed to be 40% of people's income, but you're seeing people that are living on more and more of that, almost living paycheck to paycheck in the form of Social Security, which is scary.
I
That's why
heard
we,
a stat that something like 40% of the American public, I think it was actually a little higher than that, lives off of Social Security alone. That's their only source of income.
right. And we had a woman call in the other day, a bartender that, downtown Chicago that, she's 60 and she's like, is it too late for me? No, it's not too late to do planning. It never is. It's like it's never too late to get back into shape, whether you're doing something with a doctor and medically and that type of thing. So that's what we try to tell people, give us a call and we'll see if we can help you. And that's why another reason I think getting the book into their hands is a great idea. So if people out there have over $1 million worth of assets, I'd love to get the first 10 callers a free book into their hands. Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. It's a book that was just printed a year ago, and it's still very relevant to what's going on, in our society right now.
Fantastic book. Easy read. I'd call it an airplane read, ladies and gentlemen. If you got a, 3, 4 hour flight, it's one that you can read, digest, understand a whole lot of the issues that we are facing in today's modern retirement that maybe a generation or two ago did not have as many problems or issues with. We've got more wealth saved in this generation, and yet more questions and doubt and worry and uncertainty about our lasting retirement financial confidence and stability. Those are the modern retirement riddles. And Tim Stearns wrote the book on solving those. So if you'd like a copy of the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. So Tim, I know the headline of this, the five changes in retirement, Trump getting reelected. There were certain things, especially with Social Security, Medicare, we'll probably continue to see those increases as you stated. What are the potential fixes down the road? Is there anything reasonable that once politicians sort of wake up to the fact that they are going to have to do something about this, like, are there any solutions that they could consider that in your mind would be reasonable or accepted by the American public and work to actually help address the issues of the underfunding of Social Security and Medicare?
Well, I don't know about being accepted, but because one of the ones that they're talking about is doing means testing, which they've already implemented with Medicare. So with means testing, all I'm talking about is that they'll say that, if you have enough assets and you're making a good income from those assets, then they might trim off some of what you should be receiving with Social Security, which I absolutely disagree with, but that is something that has been put on the table. The other one is to have people work longer. I figure my kids will probably not be able to receive Social Security till they're about 70. When my dad retired in 1988, it was 65 years old. It moved to 66, and now for my age group, which is 53 years old, it's 67 years old. So I think they're just going to keep, kicking that down the line because they need people to be paying into it.
And those are two things that they have done previously and proven that they could still get reelected, right? Right, Tim? I mean, that's the number one goal of
Unfortunately,
any
right?
politician, and that eventually, although they sound unpleasant at a surface level, it maintains and sustains the solvency of the system, which ultimately people do understand, I think, is necessary. So that means testing for the Medicare premiums, Tim. Isn't Social Security sort of already that way too, because it's not taxed at certain tiers, but then becomes taxable or more taxable
Yep.
depending on the income that you have?
And that would be the other option that we didn't speak of, and that is taxing all of it, right? And that's something that I could see them doing. President Trump had said that he wasn't going to tax uh, Social Security, and that's over $49 billion that is raised from that. So I don't see that being a thing, but we'll see what happens.
Again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP. And Tim, I know that you make plans for proactive savers and investors for lasting retirement confidence. So you've got to set a foundation in place based on things as they are today, but leave room for cracks to form in that foundation over time, for the variables, for the unknowns. And that is why you've named your proprietary process and the plan that you put together, the Protect and Grow plan. You need both sides. You need the protection for today and the stability, but you need the growth assets for the future as well.
Absolutely. My mom, who's 95 years old, is still in the stock market. With inflation still being around, how else can I grow her money but the stock market? And hopefully it cooperates. But again, we are always actively and strategically managing that money to make sure that we are growing it and then protecting it through other nuances like stop losses, covered calls, that type of thing.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to get your Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint, or if you'd like a copy of that book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, pick up the phone now, give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. No cost or obligation to get your retirement plan in place. And plenty of people have tools, they have investments, they have 401ks or IRAs, but that does not paint the whole picture of how to bring it all together, how to maximize Social Security, minimize taxes, address risks that you are taking, address income production and the order of operations and longevity. That is what the Protect and Grow written blueprint help you address, bringing all of those pieces of the puzzle together so that you have a good understanding and a good picture of what retirement is going to look like. And then a ongoing relationship with an experienced qualified professional who continue to monitor and adjust and update the plan on an ongoing basis. If you'd like to take advantage, no cost, no obligation to get that conversation started and the plan in place, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Now, the next item on your list here, Tim, I hope your mom at 90 years old is not having to do this one, but many, many, many more people are, and that is the rise of the partial retirement.
Right. And we're seeing that people are not retiring all the way. I have seen so many of our clients that, they still want to work for a bit. They're not going to hang it up, if you will. A lot of people retirees are wanting to at least keep their brain fresh and that type of thing. But I also think it begs the question that some people think they don't have enough money. And that's where a protect and grow plan can actually help you to determine, yeah, I am going to need to work a little bit, or you know what, I don't need anything, I'm good to go to retire. So, but we're seeing, the JP Morgan studies showed that 53% of retirement income is they're partially retired at this point. So you
So
got
the
47% who are really retired,
the great rewirement rather than the great retirement, right? Is
right?
that people more and more are rewiring their lifestyle at what has traditionally been retirement age.
Absolutely.
Um, Tim, is there something to be said for the longevity that we have, that we are living more active lifestyles, that we are healthier at what was traditionally retirement age? today, and therefore we do want to stay more motivated or involved, have activity, and that work actually provides some of that. Like speaking almost to the psychological aspect of retirement rather than just strictly the financial aspect.
Right. And you're seeing people who want to be wanted, and feel a need to have, people certifying that they're still out there and worthy of working. And I've seen people say, you know what, I don't golf, I don't do this, I don't do that. I want to do something and work, and we could use a couple extra dollars around the house, and it's good for my brain.
That we've got to stay involved. Tim, if we don't have that activity, if we don't have that motivation, um, the decline happens a little more
Absolutely.
rapidly.
Yes.
And I don't have any specific studies to show or to point to, but I believe that that probably has been studied in great length. That if we don't have that active mental stimulation and motivation, if we don't have peer groups, if we don't have some accountability for activity, a reason to set the alarm and get up, that we might slip a little quicker. And that's why I think partially in addition to the financial motivations, why we're seeing this rise in the partial retirement.
I think people are nervous also that they're going to run out of money. I mean, the average age now for a male is 85 years old, and a female is 88, according to Social Security Agency. I mean, that's a long retirement. My mom has been retired 30 years, and good for her. She has my dad's railroad retirement and her own pension. But most of us don't have that. So how do you fill up the bucket each month unless you're working or you have a protect and grow plan that shows you where your income's going to come on the 15th, let's say, of every month.
Well, we talked last week on the program, Tim, about the fact that studies and stats have shown that retirees with guaranteed income not only live longer, but more content retirements.
Oh
They are
yeah.
happier in retirement.
Absolutely. Tom Hegna always talks about that. Tom Hegna is our best-selling author on who talks about wrote books that are excellent. Paychecks to Playchecks is a great book that talks about longevity being the number one killer of retirement. And the way to solve that is by having a guaranteed stream of income.
Well, again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP. If you would like to put together a written plan for your retirement, bringing all of the pieces, the variables, the aspects, the assumptions into the picture, providing clarity of where you are today, the goals of where you want to be into the future, and then showing how the dollars must work to help you achieve that, pick up the phone, give a call. That's the Protect and Grow Retirement Blueprint. And Tim Stearns offers to put that together with you and for you, no cost, no obligation. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, I feel like several of these 5 changes in retirement for 2024 that are going to affect us into the future have a lot to do with Social Security and Medicare. Because again, we're circling back here. Social Security is inching closer and closer. Another year off of our tally of when Social Security is projected to run out of funds in the trust fund.
Right. And they've talked about that this year they've actually slowed the process down so that it's going to give it another year. But to our point here is that as they wait, the less options are out there for them to fix it. And I think a lot of people are counting on that. I've had people discount it and it adds up to over $1 million over a 20-year retirement. So would you look a gift horse in the mouth? No, of course not. You'd want to make sure that you're taking care of that. So, I think that these guys want to get reelected, and basically at the end of the day, they're going to need to fix this.
Do you think, Tim, this is because the younger generation is kicking up and getting in gear and starting to join the workforce in larger and larger numbers? I don't see that the government on their end did anything to push this back a year. So there's got to be some other factor in my mind.
I think it also cooperates with, I mean, some of their money is going to be in the market, not a lot of it, but I'm just saying the market cooperating for them, that's what happens. So I'd like to say, market's at the all-time high here. What's going to happen next is, if they have a bad year in the market, will that slide it back another year where it sooner to insolvency? So that's stuff that we need to keep an eye on.
Well, demographically as well, we've been talking about this gray tsunami of retirees, the
Yep.
bell curve
Yeah,
of the baby boom generation retirement. And we are at the peak of that bell curve as of
absolutely.
2024, Tim. And so demographically, for the last 30, 35 years, we've had the largest generation being producers, being workers, being savers, being
Right.
investors. And for the next 30 to 35 years, the opposite set of forces and factors, that large generation is going to uh, be creating income. They're going to be divesting. Does that put additional pressures on the market that we need to be concerned about?
Well, it's literally the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, right? You have to have the younger people paying in to pay out the older people. So we talk about that in our workshops. So they're going to need to do something because they're not going to have as many people feeding into it, and they're going to have a lot more people pulling out of it. To your point.
Finally, on your list, Tim, ready or not, the great wealth transfer is coming or expected. Tim, do we need to rethink because of all the factors that we've talked about? Do the and some that we have not, and I'm specifically coming to mind with medical expenses,
Yeah,
unplanned
long-term
and
care.
unprepared for long-term care needs. Do we maybe need to consider the fact that the next generation is overestimating the amount of this wealth transfer that could be coming?
Yeah, I mean, 49% of baby boomers say that they want to leave. Uh, a legacy in the form of money to their kids and beneficiaries, and only 27% of them have had a talk with them about it.
Hmm.
I'll go a step further, and I'm figuring that a lot of them have not done proper estate planning. That's why I'm glad that we have an estate attorney on staff here that can get us through, the ins and outs of setting up a trust, making sure you're not going to probate, making uh, power of attorneys, healthcare directives, and of course having a will. That all goes into there because these are things you need to talk about now, not down the road, leaving it to chance with probate in Cook County and the different the Colorado counties that we have. That can be up to 2 years in some cases. So with that transfer comes doing it the right way. And who doesn't want to avoid taxes? So these are the things, we have an estate attorney on staff. If people want to talk to him, we make him readily available as well as our CPA.
$72 trillion
Yeah,
expected to be transferred
right.
by the year 2045. I just wonder if that transfers to our beneficiaries and heirs and the next generation, Tim, or more transfers to medical care facilities and the IRS. And I know that we can do things to control and determine that. And yet, as you stated, 27%, only 27% have even discussed their intentions. And I'm almost certain, unfortunately, that even less than that have set up plans to make that transfer happen in the most efficient manner possible.
Well, you saw that 23% of these baby boomers are feel prepared to pass the money down, and 25% of the younger generations feel prepared to receive it. So something needs to give there. I'll go a step further though. 7 out of 10 Americans are going to need, over the age of 60, are going to need long-term care, and 9 out of 10 of them haven't, done anything about that. So before we're going to talk about, solvency and sending money down to the next generation, we need to make sure that we're taking care of as far as long-term care, because that could be, wreak havoc on a policy that people have of trying to give money down to their kids once it's, they do a irrevocable trust, let's say. What's next? You can't get your money back. It's not for your benefit anymore.
Mhm.
So those are the types of things we're trying to advocate for people to get ahead of it. It's planning is 24/7.
Got to be proactive in your plans. And actually, ladies and gentlemen, now is a very opportune moment in history to be proactive, to get plans in place. Tim, the market at all-time highs, taxes at historical lows, interest rates are still attractive. There are so many reasons
Right.
why right now is a pretty critical moment to get that plan put together if you have not already.
No time like the present. And I see this procrastination, of people. We've had people wait and wait and wait, and we've seen some really devastating effects of not getting your affairs in order. One of my friends just passed away last week, and he had the power of attorney, was with his first wife still. And that's been just a train wreck for the whole family, and now it's about to get real
Yep.
bad. So
The
make sure that people get their affairs in order now.
saddest stories are always the ones that could have been avoided with some
Absolutely.
simple
Could have been
steps.
avoided.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, Tim, not to put you on the spot here, but we've talked about the biggest changes that we saw in 2024. Do you see any big changes in 2025? What do you think are going to be the big stories, or maybe less crystal ball required here? What should somebody planning on retiring in 2025 be doing now?
Reduce risk. I think the market is overbought. I think I'm happy that President Trump's coming back as much as anyone, but I think everyone has very, very high expectations. Everyone has a great attitude about the stock market, and that's when the stock market corrects. So I tell people all the time in our workshops, I'll tell this on the radio, do not invest like you're 40 anymore. Reduce risk, have covered calls, have stop losses, have active money management. The buy and hold at your age does not work. How long do you have to recover from a correction?
Yep. Well, good enough isn't. You need to have a plan, ladies and
Right.
gentlemen. We have tools available to us, but very few people have brought them together into a true plan, which is what Tim Stearns and the team from TJ Stearns Inc. try to address each and every day with proactive savers and investors throughout the Chicagoland area. If you would like to get your plan put together, the Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. We do not want to be complacent or overly content or less than motivated. Just because we are where we are does not mean that we need to relegate our future to being it is what it is. There is always room for improvement. Get the plan in your hands to make the most of 2025 and all of the years ahead. Give TJ Stearns Inc. and Tim Stearns CFP a call for that Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Like the hockey great Wayne Gretzky once said, Tim, you skate to where the puck is going to be. And I think that's
Absolutely.
the method of the planning mentality that you have there at TJ Stearns Inc.
Well, being reactive in this type of world is not the best idea. So we try to get proactive with our clients and make sure that their affairs are in order and that they're ready for whatever's going to come at them during retirement.
Well, we always appreciate the time here on the program, Tim. Thank you very much for continuing to be a resource here on Protect and Grow, and looking forward to another great year ahead.
Thanks, Peter.
Give Tim Stearns CFP a call, ladies and gentlemen, for that Protect and Grow written retirement blueprint, 800-640-2256, or find him online, tjstearns.com.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.